If your engine suddenly feels like it is tripping over its own feet, giving you a rough idle or a noticeable shake every time you come to a stop, you might be dealing with a P0354 code. This specific error points its finger directly at a malfunction in the ignition coil D primary or secondary circuit, which on most engines corresponds to cylinder number 4. Modern cars have moved away from the old-style spark plug wires and distributors that we used to see decades ago, and instead, they use what we call a coil-on-plug system. This means there is an individual ignition coil sitting directly on top of each spark plug, allowing for much more precise control over the spark. The way the system works is actually pretty clever. The powertrain control module, or PICM, sends a ground signal to the coil to trigger the spark at the exact right millisecond. There are usually 2 wires involved here. One is a constant battery feed that provides the muscle, and the other is the driver circuit that the computer flickers on and off to time the ignition. If the computer detects a short to ground, an open wire, or a bad connection in that circuit for cylinder 4, it will flag this code. To protect your engine, the computer might even shut down the fuel injector for that cylinder so that unburned gas doesn't dump into your exhaust and melt your expensive catalytic converter. When you are trying to track this down, your first and easiest move is a wiggle test. With the engine running, gently move the wiring harness around the number 4 coil. If you hear the engine's rhythm change or if the misfire suddenly disappears, you have found a physical break in the wiring. If the misfire is constant, a great trick is to swap the coil from cylinder number 4 with the coil from a different cylinder, like number 1. If the misfire moves to that new cylinder, you know the coil itself has failed and needs to be replaced. However, if the code stays stuck on cylinder 4, the problem is likely in the wiring harness or the computer itself. If you want to get technical, you can use a multimeter set to the alternating current Hertz scale to look for a pulse between 5 and 20 Hertz while the engine is running. This pulse confirms that the computer is actually sending the trigger signal. If you have the signal but no spark, the coil is toast. If there is no signal at all, then you need to check the continuity of the wires all the way back to the PICM to see if a wire has been pinched or chewed by a rodent. It is a bit of a detective job, but taking it step by step ensures you do not waste money replacing parts that are still perfectly good.